Hello and welcome to the first podcast for my real estate advisor, which is going to be the Million Dollar Real Estate Agent podcast. So I'm just kicking things off with talking a bit more about the company before I start doing podcasts with real estate agents and mortgage brokers and buyers agents and all that type of thing. So what I thought I'd do is I'll just explain a little bit more about the company and how everything's kicked off and where we're up to at the moment and the idea behind setting up the podcast and all that sort of stuff as well. So with the idea of the podcast, I did a podcast recently with a lady called Jo, who's got an app for buyers agents, and she's got the No BS real estate podcast, which is I think she's probably done well over 100 different podcasts now with different people, which is really good, on all sorts of different subjects and things. And I thought, well, this is a good way to promote the agent or the finance person so they can cut that up and use it for social media and things like that. And also, it's not just sending like a newsletter out, like sending a video out talking about yourself and what you do and how long you've been in the industry for and all those sorts of things. So I thought, well, that would be a good idea to do that for the people that I work with and people that I want to do business with as well. So I thought, well, yeah, that's a good idea. I'll steal that. And I had a good time doing the podcast as well. So I thought it's not too bad a time way to spend your time. So yeah. So with the business, I originally set this business up back in 2018. I was working on it part time whilst working for one of the major real estate agencies. And then eventually I got my full license and officially started the business probably 2019, going on 2020, really. So officially, I'd say the business has been running properly for probably about 6 years, maybe 5.5. Because I don't think you can really count if you know doing it part time or you've got another job or something like that. I think if you run a business, you have to be 100% in the business. And originally, it was set up just to be like a normal residential real estate sales business. And what's happened over time is it's adapted to what the market's doing basically and things like that. But what I wanted to do as well was go against the norms because the normal sort of way of doing business is in real estate is quite adversarial. So it's sort of like everybody in the office is kind of against each other. And I saw this play out in real time with some agents from Remax, for example. Like I was reaching out to agents from Remax, trying to sign them up and get them to work with me as well to sell properties off the plan and things. And at one point, we were developing the AI system for phone calls and stuff to try and help them out for normal residential sales, to help get appraisals and things. And there was two agents in one office, and they started kicking off with, "Oh well, I don't want that person to ring, in the same areas where I ring," and all this sort of stuff. And I was trying to explain, well, look, it's a database and the machine calls it, and it's not personal, it's business. And if you're in the same office, we can split the database up so, there's no overlap or anything like that. But it's very interesting to see that there's this adversarial, competitive thing, even within the same office, not the people down the road that you're competing against. It isn't just that. It's actually within the same office, which is just mental. So there is, in my opinion, there isn't a lot of teamwork and camaraderie within the industry. It tends to be dog eat dog and very competitive. So one of the things as well that I thought was flawed with the real estate industry was there's a lack of professionalism with the door knocking and the flyers and all the other stuff. I found that was a very primitive way of doing business with people, and also most people find that irritating that somebody's just rolling up out the blue, knocking on the door and asking them to sell the house. So there's a few things there where the industry needs to improve on. The barrier to entry is very low as well. To become a real estate agent doesn't take a lot of training or qualifications. So you've got a lot of people there thinking they're going to get rich quick, getting into real estate and becoming a real estate agent. And then you've got this sort of on top of that, you've got a very low level of professionalism, in my opinion. So, for example, like, I sort of do this analogy. When was the last time a solicitor knocked on your door, or an accountant, or even a plumber, or a bricklayer, or anybody? No, nobody knocks on your door at random and says, "Do you need a bricklayer? Do you need an accountant? Do you need a, it's you just don't do it. So why is the real estate industry still doing that kind of thing? Why is it so, in my opinion, desperate? So when I started this business, what I wanted to do was take away that element. And I started to get contracts in with different builders and developers. So I always had stock to sell. So I didn't have to necessarily go out and do door knocking and all that kind of thing. And as time's progressed over the last sort of 5 or 6 years, and technology's improved a lot, I've been able to then look into using AI to make phone calls and things like that. So my opinion is that you're better to have um, called the person, arrange the time to go and view the property, and then do the appraisal and everything else, and be in communication via email, text messages, and phone calls, and then face-to-face meetings. That's my opinion. That would be what I would do as best practice. Me personally, as an agent, and the agents working with me, that's what I would recommend to them. So that's this kind of that's the kind of thing that I would be looking to do. And we provide all sorts of different things. So we do the AI phone calls, and help with group emails and text messaging, and then we work with a couple of other companies and help provide virtual assistants and all sorts of things like that, and appointment setters, and those kind of things. So really, depending on your budget and what you want to do, as an agent or a mortgage broker, um, in my opinion, as much automation as possible is the way forward, and as much support as you can get either here or overseas, again, is probably the best thing for you. And the reason why the podcast is going to be $1 Million Real Estate Agent is because it's MREA, which is the initials of the business, but also we're trying to get each person to do multiple sales every month and become, $1 million a year agent in commission. So by, increasing, even if you just increase it from one sale to two sales a month, it makes a massive difference to people. And I think if you can get to three or four, then yeah, you're pretty much set up. And you also need to take into consideration, you need a couple of months off a year as well. You can't work, every month throughout the whole 12 months. Some people try and do that and then they burn out. And this is again the reason with the psychological point of view, with this everybody's against me thing, and I'm competing with everybody, even people in my own office. I find that there needs to be teamwork, because let's say, for example, if I'm in an office and I want to go on holiday and I've still got listings or whatever else, or I'm off sick or whatever, you want to be able to hand that over to somebody that you can trust, that will take over and help get the sale done, split the commission with you, whatever. But you want to be able to take a holiday or to have somebody back you up, and then you can return the favor for them. Whereas everybody seems to be every man for themselves in most of these offices, which I find funny, because it's supposed to be, we're a team and all the rest of it. You're not a team. I've worked at several different places and it's never been a team. It's always been every man for themselves, right down to, oh no, that's my customer, don't knock on their door. Anyway, so I'm going to go over today, where the point of difference is going to be talking about the investment side of the business. We're at a point now where we can build a much bigger website and all sorts of stuff. So I'm just going to go through a bit of a pitch deck. I'm not going to read it. I'm gonna keep talking, and if you want to read it, you can read it. But I'll do a screen share, hopefully, and yeah, then with a bit of luck, Um, I've got it covered. Let's have a look. Documents. This one. Try that one. There we go. Hopefully this is going to work. So yeah, so there's a couple of things that I'm working on at the moment, and we're looking for investors into the business anyway, because I want to try and build a much bigger website, as I mentioned before. We've got a we've got a current listing website, but I think it'll only go up to around about 2,000 properties we can put in it. Um, I would like to take it to the next level and basically get it to the point where we can build a website that will support 200,000 listings. And then basically, I don't really want to go toe to toe with realestate.com or domain, but I kind of do at the same time, if you know what I mean, because they charge a lot of money for what it actually is. The hosting isn't overly expensive. To build a website isn't overly expensive. So you can build a like for like website, gather up all the information, and then you can actually offer this back to the real estate agents and to the vendors at a either for free or for a very low cost. So that's what I would do. I'd have an entry level is free. You can use this website to advertise, and then the next level would be to a reasonable price, like $150, let's say, or something like that, to advertise per month. Whereas realestate.com and domain charge literally thousands of dollars. I mean, domain isn't too bad, but realestate.com has just gone bananas, and it's all based on the suburb. I mean, and technically nothing's different. It's just, well, this isn't a high-end suburb, so we're going to charge high-end money. Well, that's a bit ridiculous because same sex service, and you shouldn't be penalized just because you live in a nice suburb. But that's how they make the money, and they got that incremental lift up in cost every single month as an ongoing thing. Well, not every month, but at least every year they put the prices up. So yes, there's a bit more about the company. One of the other things as well is that we're looking to do more networking trips and stuff. We've already chartered a yacht and had a networking group set up and things like that. So that's an ongoing process. I want to build up a much bigger networking group and charter yachts once a month in different locations around the country. So that's another thing that I'm working on at the moment. And yeah, the other thing I'm just working on as well is a training program and coaching and things like that for real estate agents and people new into the industry. And yeah, this is mentioning the what we do with the CRM system. So far since I've started the business, we've got well over 600,000 people on the CRM system. Where when a new person joins the company now as part of the network, we provide them with a database of 10,000 people. We use AI then to call 1,000 people a month. So it's like 250 people a week, so they're not overwhelmed. And then that hopefully then gets lead generation for either a buyer's agent, real estate agent, or mortgage broker, basically. Okay, so this is comparing us to say Ray White, for example. Now Ray White's one of the main companies. Is probably the first one in Australia and the biggest one, and they've been going for over 100 years and things like that. So again, you don't really want to go toe to toe with them because they're such a huge company worth a lot of money. But in the kind of way that it's taxis versus Uber, uh, we're offering something slightly different, which maybe, in my opinion, is probably better. And the person can work from home, they can work flexible hours, and they've got all this technology and training at their fingertips, kind of thing, which is not something that Ray White would let you do necessarily. They would prefer you to come into an office, and then you've got all the office politics that goes with that. So yeah, now with things like having a big CRM system and making the phone calls and all the rest of it, this saves you a lot of time. So this is talking about, it saves you about 30 hours worth of work a week, which is a big deal, really. I mean, it's almost your full week's work. And real estate agents have been known to work ridiculously long hours and work every weekend and all that sort of stuff. This just takes the edge off a little bit. Um, and as I say, with a database, you can scale this up as much as you want. You could have several million people on this database. If you keep buying contacts and then cleaning up the database and marketing and all the rest of it, you could just keep going and going and going until you've got a really refined, huge database. It wouldn't take too much. The majority of the data that I've got on the CRM system has come from direct advertising and marketing from people's stock, developer stock, and things like that. So, yeah, again, this is saying about door letterbox drops and door knocking and all the rest of it. As you can imagine, I'm not a massive fan, so this is the reason why I'm mentioning it. It's not something that I encourage. I think it can be a bit dangerous as well for females going out there knocking on doors and things. And then we've got the potential um, for the earnings and things like that. So there's costs built into all these different services and things, but when you weigh it up and how much money a person can make and also the time that they save, and the fact that we're not taking a massive cut of people's commission as well. Um, Typically, if you sell a house and land package, we're still doing the 70-30 split to the agent. If you sell a normal residential property, we're asking for a 10% referral fee. And it's the same kind of deal with the other things as well, like being a buyer's agent. So it's yeah, it's pretty reasonable to be fair. And a lot of the services that we offer is actually a tax deductible thing. So you can write it off in when you do your tax return and things like that for marketing and advertising, you can write these costs off. So there's a couple other things there that we do some social media advertising and some other marketing. We can build websites and all sorts of stuff. So it depends on what the person's after, really. Um, and yeah, so we are an international company, so we do have people that work for us in the Philippines, as I mentioned before, VAs and things like that, and people in New Zealand as HR and things like that as well. So there's a couple of things there where we've got the scope to scale that up to support people. I mean, ideally, in my honest opinion, I think each person is probably better off with a VA anyway, because they they do support you a lot and they're very helpful. And you're just able to get a lot more done and focus on things that actually make money versus things you have to do to keep things running properly. So as I mentioned before, we've got 165 developers across Australia. We advertise between 2 and 5,000 properties per month. Again, this is a sliding thing where we sign up new developers pretty much on a month-to-month basis. There'll be somebody else. A lot, to be honest, because I've been in the industry for quite a long time now, people actually seek me out, not the other way around. So we've got a couple of things here with costs and running costs and things like that, and budgets for different things. But yeah, as you can see, it's not a super amount of money that needs to be invested into the business for anything in particular. This is just as things like building the website and some few other projects. Another thing that I was looking at doing as well is getting a TV show off the ground, which is what this is mentioning here in this dialogue here. So the idea from that is to promote the business and also promote the new website and lead generation and all sorts of different things like that. So that was the idea from that, which is pretty good going, to be fair. And we've already we already filmed a pilot test pilot TV show thing to see how long it would take to film it and if it came out looking good. I was quite pleased with everything that we did, so that was good. So again, that's $300,000 project to get that onto Channel 10 and everything else, but that's something that I'm going to keep pursuing. And yeah, but at the moment it's one of those things where it's a not a life or death situation. So it's a nice to have, not we can't live without it kind of thing. So yeah, these are all the costings per agent and all the profit margins and all the rest of it. As I say, compared to what the agent actually makes, we're not making a ton of money out of each agents and all that sort of stuff. We're trying to charge the bare minimum so the agent can afford the services and everything else. And then, if they have a bad month or they don't get any listings that month, then, they're not massively out of pocket or anything like that. So, compared to other companies that, like an AI setup cost can be like $10,000 and things like that. So, there's a few different things there where we're trying to keep the prices down as much as possible. So yeah, as I mentioned before, the running costs for a competitive website is actually very low. It's $30,000 a year to run that. The cost for setting up the TV show and running that is $300,000. So as you can see, none of these things are super expensive to do, but will make a huge difference to the business. So you can imagine if you've got a website now and you can you can list 200,000 properties, you can think how many inquiries you're going to get off that, which is now massive amount of lead generation for your agents and finance brokers. That's worth a lot of money to you. Plus, you can do secondary advertising on these websites as well. So you could have an insurance company as a sponsor, for example. Yeah, so this talks about monthly income from that website, and then it also compares business valuations and stuff. So, as you can see, realestate.com is worth $26 billion. Domain is worth $3 billion, which is a bit weird considering domain is number two to have a big drop, but realestate.com's been going for a lot longer, a bit like the Ray White situation, really. So, yeah, so again, this is what we're estimating from running the TV show and the revenue generated. So it's $200,000 a month, things like that. And then other comparisons with other lesser known websites like Real Estate View or view.com.au. That's another one. What their valuations are and that type of thing as well. So we've got other things as well where we're looking to copy business models. Well, technically, the things like EXP and App Realty, when I was setting the business up, I'd already kind of come up with this idea, and they were the only two businesses that were doing something similar. And at one point, I was starting to work with EXP, but what happened was there was no benefit to me. I had to get my full license, and I thought, well, if I'm going to have to get my full license, I might as well just set my own business up and do it myself then, and so on. So, but those are the closest kind of businesses to the what I'm currently working on at the moment. Okay, and then this is talking about the advantages of AI and stuff like that, prospecting, that kind of thing. It is going to make a huge difference to most people. If you've got it, you're going to be you're going to be making a lot of money if you can use it the right way and everything else. I mean, I've been able to test it and clone voices and do all sorts of different things, and you've got to be careful with it. You've got to make sure you've got different phone numbers set up for each person. You've got to make sure that you don't overdo it with the number of phone calls that you're doing each week and things like that, because otherwise that can cause problems. So yeah, you've got to be very careful. You've got to work with making sure it's compliant. Finance side of things, the way around it is to actually use the real estate as the foot in the door and then do the follow up about the finance. Okay, now this is just talking about different revenue streams that the company makes from various different things. So, sales of properties, sales of brand new properties off the plan, commercial sales, all sorts of different things like that. So there's a fair few different ways that the company generates its revenue. It's mainly a service-based business now, where we're providing all these different services and support, training, and everything else. So, as I mentioned before, I've got a training course, which is a 12-week course, and that is something that I'm going to advertise and promote. And again, this is to compete with the Buyer's Agent Institute, for example. So we've got all these buyer's agents popping up everywhere, but a lot of them have never actually worked in real estate before. So this is a good way to sort of show, I like this image, what the company does. So we've got the Vortex Networking Group, which is a brand new networking group where we charter yachts and do meetups and stuff like that once a month. We've got the TV show for marketing. We've got the academy and the training side of the business where we're training new people into the industry and bringing them into the company. And then we've got the lead generation from all the other stuff that we do. And then we've got the listing website, which is something I want to get off the ground as well. And then this is sort of how the money flows. So you've got your demand, people are trying to buy houses and agents that need, training and all that sort of stuff. And then we've got the business owners want to do the networking, the agents want to deal with the developers, and the agents also want to network with the mortgage brokers and things like that. Again, it's a nice little graphic on what we do. Demand side, buyers, sellers, students, agents, revenue capture, what the margin is, 43%. Because as I say, we're an online-based business, web-based business, so we've got very little overheads when it comes to commercial buildings and things like that. And we're supplying them with developers, brokers, advertisers, and all this sort of stuff. So you can see how these things fit together. And then we've got the money that we're looking to raise over the next 12 months to maybe 2 years. We've got the stage one is the new website, which will be able to list 200,000 properties. We've got the TV show to then promote it and promote the business. And then we've got the social media campaigns and things like that planned out after that one as well. So those are the main things that we're doing there with that. And then we've got all the different aspects of the different launches and different things. And yeah, I don't know. So yeah, so we've got the development side, the filming side, the advertising, and the CRM system, the virtual systems, the workshops. So again, we will be going to do training sessions and webinars and all that sort of stuff to try and help each person. And then we've got an ongoing thing here of scaling everything up and increasing everything else as time goes on. But yeah, this is all technical investment stuff, so it's not really that relevant to anything very much. But yeah, with all these different things to learn all this, because I got a venture capitalist working on this for me, and he was like, "Can you get me this information together? And can you tell me what it would be and what the profit margins are and all this sort of stuff?" So yeah, so we've got like a minimum of 52 agents was the target to start off with. I mean, realistically, I'd prefer to have about 300 agents, but it depends on the time frame to try and get the agents, and sometimes it's not the right fit for the person. They haven't got the budget, things like that. So you've got to you've got to go with what you've got available at the time and what the person can afford to do as well. So I keep tweaking the things with the prices and the services over time anyway, just to make sure that that we're covering everything. So yeah, so we've got like a basic run out of different things. So lead generation and all this stuff. So it's 662, but I can tweak this to different things, and then you've got your different profit margin. I mean, 85% gross profit margin is pretty good to be fair, but realistically, you're not going to always have that. You might have to pay a VA a bit more money. It might cost you more for the AI phone calls if they go over time and things like that. And then we've got these other things as well. I mean, some certain things like the TV show and a couple of things like that, where you can't really quantify exactly how much money could be made from that and what it's actually really worth for brand building and stuff like that. You just get a rough idea of what the multiples are. And this is what it's saying about what the business would be worth once you've done all these different things and that kind of thing. So this is predicting what the profit margin is going to be and how to grow the business and everything else. And this is a suggestion for somebody wanting to invest in the company To be fair, I think with people investing in the company, um, I could even say that the agents slash mortgage brokers could invest in the company, really, to be fair. So yeah, so that's a bit of an overview of the business. And as I say, the idea with the podcast is to make sure that I'm promoting other people's companies as well as my own at the same time. Get to know the person a little bit better as well. Spend about half an hour talking to them, maybe up to an hour about what their business is, how long they've been going for, what they need help with, what they're really good at, you know, and what their point of difference is. And then that can be used in social media and everything else. But I just thought it was a good idea. After I had such a really good experience doing the podcast, and I did a podcast the other day with a guy as well. I thought, well, this is probably the way forwards, really. It helps to get to know the person a bit better. Both sides get something out of it, and I think it's useful to do things like that. But yeah, as a rule, that is basically what I'm aiming to do with the business. That's where I want to see it taking it forward. So it's offering 10-week training course, networking group, much bigger listing website, lead generation, AI resources, VA resources, and then third-party consultations for marketing and advertising and all sorts of different things as well to help each person's business. So I hope that's I hope that's covered everything, and you found this all uh, on the edge of your seat, interesting stuff. This is just to kick things off. So I've got a podcast to start off with and to test the water. So usually want to be very cheap and cheerful, jump onto a Zoom meeting, record for about 30 minutes, have the back and forth, formulate questions about the person and what they get up to, and then a nice little chat to explain what it is. And then obviously all that goes onto YouTube. And then the person's got access to it and they can do whatever they want with it and they can email it out. So, I mean, I think videos go a long way compared to just newsletters. So if you can make a video up, even if it's a 30-second to 2-minute video or something like that, introducing yourself, that will grab way more attention than if you're just sending out a generic newsletter that people aren't really going to bother reading. I think sending videos out and making yourself stand out a bit more from the crowd is a big deal. And I think with the real estate side, you've got to have a bit of a personality and you've got to do something like that because there's that much competition out there as well. So I hope you found this interesting and useful, and I look forward to catching up with you throughout the year. And I hope you enjoy this podcast. And this is just the first one, so hopefully they'll get better from here. But I just wanted to sort of explain who I am, what my company does, and what we're planning to do in the future, and how that sort of ties in with helping people. So instead of having a sort of an aggressive, it's you against me kind of thing, it's more like, well, let's network together and help each other, and see if we can improve the industry and take things in the right direction, and offer something a bit better, a bit different. Go against the grain. And we'll see. Hopefully, it'll work. Fingers crossed, and everybody will make lots of money, and they'll be happy doing it. And you know, um, the right support and training will be there, and the right networking will be there, and everybody will come together nicely, and everything else. And shake up the industry a little bit with offering some alternatives that are probably a bit more cost effective and a bit more useful than the standard old school stuff. So yeah, so thank you again for your time, and yeah, hopefully you've seen my contact details on the screen, and they'll be in the description and the video. All right, thanks again. Enjoy your day. Thank you. Bye bye.